The story begins with the United Earth government's ongoing mission to explore the far reaches of the galaxy, driven by humanity's insatiable curiosity and need for expansion. The UEG has dispatched numerous exploration teams to chart unknown star systems, seeking new resources, potential colonies, and perhaps most importantly, answers to the age-old question of whether humanity is truly alone in the universe. These expeditions have led to countless discoveries, from barren worlds to vibrant ecosystems, but nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to find in the remote depths of an uncharted star system on the fringes of known space. It was a routine mission when the crew of the UEG exploration vessel, Endeavour, stumbled upon something extraordinary. While scanning the asteroid belt of a distant, sunless star, their instruments detected an anomaly, an object far larger and more structured than any natural formation should be. As the Endeavour drew closer, the anomaly began to take shape on their scanners, revealing a colossal structure hidden among the asteroids and slowly rotating in the vast emptiness of space. The object was enormous, easily the size of a small moon, with a complex and alien design that immediately distinguished it from anything humanity had ever encountered. The ship's crew, led by Captain Marcus Thorne, was stunned by the initial readings. The artifact, as they came to call it, was composed of materials that defied classification, an amalgamation of metals and compounds that bore no resemblance to any known element. Its surface was marked with intricate, geometric patterns, glowing faintly with an eerie, otherworldly light that pulsed in time with some unknown rhythm. Despite its age, it seemed almost alive, as though it were a relic of a civilization that had mastered technologies far beyond humanity's understanding. As the Endeavour approached, the artifact's sheer scale became more apparent. It dwarfed the ship, stretching out into the darkness with a silent, imposing presence. The structure was not a single solid mass, but rather a collection of interconnected segments, each one housing elaborate, fortress-like features that suggested it was built for a purpose, perhaps a fortress, a ship, or something even more unfathomable. The design was unlike anything seen before, with angular, almost fractal architecture that seemed to challenge the very laws of physics. It was as if the structure itself was a message, a code left behind by a civilization long lost to time. The closer the crew got, the more the artifact's mysteries deepened. Scans revealed that it was ancient, older than the oldest ruins on Earth, predating humanity's existence by millennia. Yet, despite its age, it appeared to be in a state of preservation that defied the ravages of time and space. The alien technology that created it was far more advanced than anything humanity had ever conceived, suggesting a level of sophistication that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. As the Endeavour moved in for a closer inspection, strange energy readings began to emanate from the artifact, readings that the ship's sensors struggled to interpret. It was as if the structure was reacting to their presence, awakening from a long slumber. The energy signature was unlike anything they had ever seen, anomalous and erratic, yet powerful and stable. The artifact seemed to be communicating in some unknown form, its pulses of light growing more intense as if it were beckoning them to uncover its secrets. The crew, now gripped by a mix of excitement and trepidation, prepared to send a team aboard. Captain Thorne, recognizing the potential significance of their discovery, authorized a mission to explore the interior of the artifact. They equipped their team with the most advanced tools and technology available, knowing that whatever lay within could either be a monumental breakthrough for humanity or a danger beyond comprehension. As the exploration team descended into the artifact's inner structure, they found themselves in a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, each one more perplexing than the last. The interior was a marvel of alien engineering, with walls that shimmered with iridescent colors and surfaces that seemed to shift and change as they passed. The deeper they went, the more they felt the weight of the artifact's ancient history pressing down on them, a history that spoke of a civilization that had reached heights of technological prowess far beyond humanity's current capabilities. In the deepest chambers, the team discovered remnants of this lost civilization, fragments of what appeared to be machines, consoles, and other devices, all built with an elegance and precision that made human technology seem primitive in comparison. There were symbols and inscriptions on the walls, written in a language that none of the team could decipher, yet they carried an unmistakable sense of urgency and importance. The artifact was not just a relic, it was a testament to the achievements of a civilization that had faced unimaginable challenges and perhaps had fallen in the process. As the team continued their exploration, they began to realize that the artifact was not merely a ship or a station, but something far more significant. Its design and layout suggested that it was built with a specific purpose in mind, a purpose that became increasingly unclear and foreboding the more they uncovered. The energy readings grew stronger as they ventured further, and the artifact seemed to pulse with a life of its own, responding to their presence in ways that defied logic. The discovery of a massive central chamber, hidden deep within the artifact, marked a turning point in their investigation. The chamber was unlike anything they had seen before, a vast, spherical room filled with towering structures and machinery that hummed with latent power. At the center of the chamber stood a colossal, sealed container, its surface covered in intricate runes and glyphs that glowed with an intense, ominous light. It was clear that this container was the heart of the artifact, and whatever it held was the key to understanding the purpose of the entire structure. The exploration team, now both fascinated and unnerved, began to analyze the container. Initial readings suggested that it was a containment unit of some kind, designed to hold an incredible amount of energy or perhaps even a living entity. The walls of the container were made of a material that resisted all attempts to penetrate or scan it, further deepening the mystery of what lay inside. The more they studied the container, the more the team began to feel a growing sense of dread. The energy readings, which had been steadily increasing, now spiked to levels that caused the ship's sensors to malfunction. The artifact, which had been dormant for millennia, was beginning to awaken, and whatever was inside the container was stirring as well. The team realized that they were on the brink of uncovering something that could change the course of human history or end it. As the exploration team delves deeper into the artifact's inner workings, their initial curiosity quickly turns to alarm. The central chamber, with its colossal sealed container at its core, emanates a foreboding presence that none of them can shake. This container, constructed from an unknown, almost indestructible material, appears to be the focal point of the entire structure. Its surface is covered in intricate glyphs and runes that seem to pulse with a dark, ancient energy, as if they are the last remnants of a forgotten language warning of long-lost danger. The more the team studies the container, the more they begin to grasp the magnitude of what they've discovered. The artifact, once thought to be a relic of a forgotten civilization, now reveals its true purpose. It was not a mere vessel or station, but a prison. The sealed container was designed with a single, horrifying objective: to contain and neutralize an unimaginable threat, a cosmic entity of immense power and malevolence. This entity, whatever it may be, was clearly deemed too dangerous to be left unrestrained, even by a civilization that had mastered technologies far beyond human comprehension. The ship's logs, though corrupted by time, offer fragmented glimpses into the history of the artifact. The team painstakingly pieces together the narrative, each new revelation sending chills down their spines. They learn that the civilization responsible for creating the artifact was once a dominant force in the galaxy, a society that had achieved incredible advancements in science, technology, and the manipulation of energy. However, their greatness ultimately became their downfall when they encountered the entity now imprisoned within the artifact. This entity was not merely a physical being, but something far more terrifying, a force of cosmic destruction that defied the laws of nature, capable of consuming entire star systems and bending reality to its will. It was a being of pure malevolence, a predator of worlds that thrived on chaos and annihilation. The ancient civilization, despite their advanced technology and vast knowledge, found themselves unable to destroy it. Their only option was to trap it, sealing it away within the artifact and casting it into the void of space, far from any inhabited world. As the team continues to analyze the artifact, they uncover more details about the entity's nature. It is sentient, intelligent, and aware of its captivity. The containment systems within the artifact were designed not only to imprison the entity physically, but also to suppress its consciousness, preventing it from using its powers to escape. These systems have been holding for millennia, but now, after countless eons in isolation, the containment is failing. The energy readings that initially intrigued the team are now recognized as signs of the entity's awakening. The realization of what they're dealing with sends a wave of dread through the crew. This is not just a discovery of historical significance, it is a ticking time bomb, a relic from a time when the galaxy was far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The entity, once subdued by a civilization whose technological prowess dwarfed that of humanity, is beginning to stir. The energy pulses from the container grow more erratic, the alien glyphs glow with increasing intensity, and the ship's systems start to behave unpredictably, as if reacting to the entity's growing influence. The team's fear deepens as they realize the full scope of the threat. This entity, if released, could easily overwhelm humanity and the entire galaxy. Its powers are beyond anything known, and its malevolent intelligence is focused solely on escaping its prison and resuming its path of destruction. The crew debates their options, understanding that they are running out of time. They could attempt to stabilize the containment systems, but there's no guarantee that their technology is advanced enough to hold back a force that once brought an entire civilization to its knees. Moreover, the entity is not content to remain passive. Through the weakening containment field, it begins to reach out, probing the minds of the crew members, searching for weaknesses. The team starts to experience disturbing visions, their fears and doubts magnified by the entity's influence. It whispers to them in their dreams, offering them power, knowledge, and the fulfillment of their deepest desires if only they would release it. Some of the crew, already shaken by the magnitude of their discovery, begin to waver, tempted by the entity's promises and terrified by the prospect of their own destruction. Captain Thorne, recognizing the danger of the entity's manipulations, struggles to maintain order and focus among his team. He knows that any attempt to negotiate with the entity or release it, no matter the promises it makes, could spell doom for humanity. The artifact's creators went to extreme lengths to contain this threat, and it is clear to Thorne that whatever the cost, they must prevent the entity from escaping. The team faces a race against time to find a way to reinforce the containment, or failing that, to destroy the artifact before the entity can break free. The more they learn, the more they understand that the entity's power is not just physical but psychological as well. It thrives on fear, chaos, and despair, and it is slowly turning the crew's minds against each other. The ship's systems, once reliable, now flicker and fail under the entity's growing influence. Communication with the outside world becomes increasingly difficult as the entity's presence disrupts their equipment, isolating the crew in the vastness of space. The entity's intelligence is formidable, and it begins to manipulate the environment of the artifact itself, using the very structure designed to contain it as a weapon against those who seek to keep it imprisoned. As the situation grows more desperate, the crew realizes that they are not just fighting to keep the entity contained, they are fighting to survive its growing wrath. The entity, fully aware of their intentions, becomes more aggressive, attempting to break free with every passing moment. The ship's defenses, advanced as they are, begin to falter under the relentless pressure. The crew members, their minds battered by the entity's psychic assaults, start to question their own sanity, their mission, and each other. The artifact, once a symbol of ancient technological prowess, now becomes a battleground, with the crew struggling not just against the entity but against the inevitability of its release. They come to understand that the entity is not just a remnant of a forgotten past, it is a harbinger of the destruction that awaits if it is ever allowed to escape its prison. The crew's mission shifts from exploration to containment, with the grim knowledge that failure means the unleashing of a cosmic horror upon an unsuspecting galaxy. As the situation aboard the Endeavour deteriorates, the crew is plunged into a psychological and moral quagmire that threatens to unravel their mission and their sanity. The entity, now fully aware of the humans' presence and intentions, begins to manipulate their emotions and thoughts, probing their deepest fears and insecurities. This cosmic force, far more intelligent and malevolent than they initially imagined, understands that brute force alone will not secure its release. It must first break their spirits, turning their minds into battlegrounds where the real war will be fought. The crew, once united in their purpose, starts to fracture under the strain. Each member is haunted by visions that seem to materialize out of their own subconscious hallucinations that blur the line between reality and nightmare. These visions are not random, they are tailored to each individual, targeting their personal weaknesses and traumas. The entity digs into their pasts, dredging up memories of lost loved ones, past failures, and unspoken fears. It whispers in their minds, sowing seeds of doubt, paranoia, and despair, creating a pervasive sense of dread that begins to take root in their hearts. For Captain Marcus Thorne, the burden of command becomes almost unbearable. He feels the weight of every decision, knowing that one wrong move could doom them all. The entity exploits his sense of responsibility, making him question whether he has led his crew to their deaths. It preys on his fears of failure, showing him visions of his crew succumbing to the entity's power, their faces twisted in agony as they fall one by one. These visions are so vivid, so real, that Thorne begins to doubt his own perceptions, wondering if he is losing his grip on reality. The entity's psychological attacks are not confined to the captain alone. The crew, already shaken by the gravity of their discovery, begins to turn against each other as the entity fans the flames of mistrust and suspicion. Small disagreements escalate into heated arguments, and once close bonds start to fray. The entity's influence causes some crew members to hear voices, leading them to believe that their colleagues are plotting against them. Others begin to see shadows where there are none, convinced that the entity is lurking just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to strike. The atmosphere aboard the Endeavour becomes one of palpable tension, a ticking time bomb ready to explode at the slightest provocation. Amid this psychological warfare, the crew faces an even deeper moral dilemma, the question of whether they should attempt to destroy the artifact, despite the potential consequences. Destroying it would mean obliterating any chance of understanding the advanced technology it contains, knowledge that could propel humanity forward by centuries. But more importantly, it would mean risking the release of the very entity they fear. The containment field, though weakening, still holds the entity at bay. If they attempt to destroy the artifact and fail, they could inadvertently unleash the very force they are trying to prevent. This dilemma tears at the crew, particularly those with a scientific background. Dr. Alara Kent, the ship's chief scientist, is torn between her duty to protect humanity and her insatiable curiosity about the artifact. She sees the potential for groundbreaking discoveries, advancements in energy, materials science, and even artificial intelligence that could change the course of human history. But she is also acutely aware of the dangers posed by the entity, a force that defies all known physical laws. The entity exploits this internal conflict, feeding her visions of the scientific breakthroughs that could be hers if she chooses to side with it, promising her knowledge in exchange for her cooperation. Other crew members grapple with their own moral quandaries. Lieutenant James Cole, the ship's weapons officer, advocates for a preemptive strike against the artifact, arguing that the only way to ensure the entity remains contained is to destroy it before it can fully awaken. But he too is haunted by doubt's visions of the entity breaking free and laying waste to Earth, visions so horrifying that they paralyze him with fear. The entity's manipulations make him question whether he has the strength to do what is necessary, or whether his own fear will render him ineffective when the moment of truth arrives. As the entity's influence grows, some crew members begin to consider the unthinkable, abandoning the mission and fleeing the artifact's vicinity, leaving it to its fate. This option, while tempting, is fraught with its own moral implications. Abandoning the artifact would mean leaving the entity to eventually break free, dooming any future explorers who might stumble upon it. It would also mean shirking their responsibility to prevent a cosmic catastrophe that could affect not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. The thought of fleeing gnaws at their consciences, a cowardly act that would save their lives but condemn countless others. Captain Thorn, despite his own doubts and fears, knows that abandoning the mission is not an option. Yet, the entity's manipulations are relentless, and he begins to question his own judgment. The crew looks to him for leadership, but he feels the crushing weight of their expectations, amplified by the entity's psychological assault. He is plagued by visions of his decisions leading to disaster, visions of Earth burning, his loved ones dying, and the guilt of having failed those who trusted him. These visions are so vivid that Thorn begins to question whether he is truly in control of his own mind, or whether the entity has already won. As the crew's psychological and moral struggles intensify, the line between friend and foe blurs. The entity's influence sows seeds of doubt so effectively that no one is sure who to trust. Every decision is second-guessed, every action scrutinized. The crew members start to see each other as potential threats, their minds twisted by the entity's relentless psychological warfare. The ship, once a place of safety and camaraderie, becomes a claustrophobic nightmare where every corner hides potential danger. The entity's ultimate goal is clear: to break the crew's resolve, to turn them against each other, and to force them into a position where they inadvertently release it. The more they resist, the more it tightens its grip, using their own fears, desires, and moral dilemmas as weapons against them. The psychological and moral struggle becomes the true battleground, as the crew must find a way to hold on to their humanity, their sanity, and their sense of right and wrong in the face of an adversary that knows no mercy. The entity's manipulations push them to the brink, testing the limits of their resolve and forcing them to confront the darkest parts of themselves in a desperate bid to prevent the cosmic threat from ever escaping its ancient prison. As the entity's power grows, the crew realizes that their time is running out. The containment systems are failing, and the malevolent force within the artifact is on the verge of breaking free. Desperation grips the Endeavor as the crew is forced to confront the horrifying reality that they may not have the means to stop what is coming. The artifact, a relic of an ancient and advanced civilization, has withstood the ravages of time, but its ability to hold the entity is diminishing rapidly. The realization sets in that their only hope may lie in a desperate, sacrificial act. Captain Thorn, burdened by the weight of command and the lives of his crew, contemplates the impossible choices before him. He knows that the artifact cannot be allowed to release its prisoner, but the methods available to destroy it are limited and fraught with danger. The crew has exhausted all conventional options. Attempts to stabilize the containment field have failed, and the entity's influence has only grown stronger. The alien technology is beyond their full understanding, and time is a luxury they no longer possess. As the entity's psychic attacks intensify, one crew member, Lieutenant Ava Martinez, an engineer with a deep understanding of the ship's systems, devises a plan. It is a plan born out of desperation, one that requires a level of sacrifice that no one is eager to embrace. Martinez proposes using the ship's experimental fusion drive to create a controlled detonation, a powerful explosion that could potentially destroy the artifact and the entity within it. However, this plan comes with a dire cost. The detonation would require someone to remain behind to manually override the safety protocols, ensuring that the explosion is powerful enough to obliterate the artifact. Martinez volunteers for the task, her resolve unshakable. She knows the risks, but she also understands that the alternative is unthinkable. If the entity escapes, it could wreak havoc on a scale unimaginable, dooming entire star systems to destruction. Her decision is met with resistance from her fellow crew members, particularly Captain Thorn, who is reluctant to lose one of his own. But Martinez is steadfast. She sees this as the only way to prevent a catastrophe that would make all their sacrifices meaningless. As the crew prepares for the final, desperate act, emotions run high. They know that they are sending Martinez to her death, and the gravity of that choice weighs heavily on all of them. The entity, sensing their resolve, redoubles its efforts to break them, bombarding them with visions of failure, destruction, and the futility of their mission. It whispers to them, offering salvation in exchange for their surrender, promising them safety if they abandon their plan and release it. But the crew, led by Martinez's courage, refuses to be swayed. They understand that the price of victory is high, but the cost of failure is far greater. The final moments aboard the Endeavour are filled with a mix of sorrow, fear, and determination. As Martinez takes her position near the fusion drive, she exchanges final words with her crewmates, who watch in silent agony. But there is no turning back now. The plan is in motion. Martinez's hands move with practiced precision, overriding the safety protocols and initiating the countdown. But the ship's systems, once symbols of hope and exploration, now become instruments of destruction, repurposed for a cause greater than any of them could have imagined when they first embarked on their mission. As the countdown nears zero, the entity makes one last, desperate attempt to escape. It lashes out with all its remaining strength, bombarding the crew with a torrent of psychic energy. The visions are overwhelming images of loved ones dying, of the Earth consumed by fire, of the galaxy falling into chaos. But Martinez, with her mind focused on the task at hand, resists the entity's assault. Her thoughts are of her crewmates, of the countless lives she is about to save, and of the future she is sacrificing to ensure that the entity remains trapped forever. The fusion drive reaches critical mass, and in the final seconds, Martinez locks eyes with Captain Thorne through the ship's communication system. There is no need for words. They both understand what must be done. With a final breath, Martinez activates the detonation sequence, and the ship is engulfed in a brilliant, blinding light as the explosion tears through the artifact and the surrounding space. The sacrifice is complete, but the cost is immense. Martinez's bravery and selflessness prevent the entity from escaping, but the crew is left to grapple with the loss of their comrade. The aftermath of the detonation leaves a haunting silence in the void, a stark reminder of the price paid to prevent a cosmic catastrophe. The Endeavour is gone, and with it, the entity's prison, now reduced to atoms scattered across the stars. The galaxy is safe, for now, but the memory of Martinez's sacrifice will linger in the hearts and minds of those who survived. The crew, now scarred by the experience, returns to Earth, forever changed by what they have witnessed and the decisions they were forced to make. They carry with them the knowledge that sometimes the greatest acts of heroism are born out of desperation, and that the true measure of a person's courage is not in their ability to fight, but in their willingness to sacrifice everything to protect what they hold dear.